You're on a streak of 3 great shows right now, UFC. A streak of 3 great shows. Granted, I'm always one of those people that's not into there needs to be a fight every weekend vibe. But the last 3 shows have been very, very good in my opinion. 187 was a top show with Johnson and Cormier. And obviously the great fight between Brown and Arlovsky. Then you had the Fight Night card last week, which was just absolutely mind-blowing. You had friggin' Dan Henderson beat Tim Boetsch, which I bet felt very good for Dan Henderson and every Dan Henderson fan. And then this weekend, we had Fabricio Werdum and Cain Velasquez for the UFC Unificated Heavyweight Championship. Even unificated is a fucking word. But we had the title fight this weekend, and I said 9 months ago when it was supposed to be at UFC 180 that I wouldn't be surprised if Fabricio Werdum shocks everybody. The fight happens. Obviously, a lot of people favoured Cain Velasquez, and we'll talk about the title fight right away. We'll cut to the meat and potatoes of it. Fabricio Werdum, for all of those fucking people 5 years ago that laughed at Fedor losing to the lowly Werdum. Oh, he lost to Fabricio Werdum. Werdum not very good. He should have lost to Overeem. He should have lost to Brock. Who's Werdum? What is up right now? How do those fucking apples taste right now? Fabricio Werdum comes in against Cain Velasquez, a monster in Cain Velasquez. One of my favourite fighters in Cain Velasquez. One of the most exciting fighters in Cain Velasquez. The heavy favourite in Cain Velasquez. Where everybody thought Velasquez was going to beat him. And look what happened. Fabricio Werdum has done it again. He has this track record of just surprising people. We've just talked about what happened with Fedor. Back in the day, he beat Overeem. He beat Gonzaga. He beat Roy Nelson. He submitted Nogueira. He beat Travis Brown with stand-up. His stand-up, in particular, has really improved. He had that one sloppy fight against Overeem in the Strikeforce tournament where he kept trying to pull guard, which was really annoying. And I don't think he needed to do that when I felt he had enough to to turn the fight in his favour. But he goes in there against Velasquez and he is beating him with stand-up, which is impressing me. Velasquez is landing a lot. Velasquez comes out like a house on fire right away, as Velasquez always does, puts immediate pressure on him. But he is not steamrolling him in the way that you would think Velasquez would, especially how he did against Junior Dos Santos. He was not able to do that in the same way. And it was like Werdum became more comfortable on the feet and he was able to land, and he even did some damage to Velasquez. He cut him around the left or the right, I think, and you could see a lot of blood coming out of Velasquez's side. I also noticed that when Velasquez does his little combination where he moves forward and he does the punch, punch, kick, punch, and then tries to go for the uppercut, as he was doing it, Werdum kept countering him with like, well, this is my right, but he was hitting him and he was catching him there. Then he was hitting him with uppercuts and he was making Velasquez's head snap back, hitting him in with a jab that was landing quite a lot, hitting him with knees that was landing quite a lot. After the first round, if you had told me that Velasquez would look sluggish after that and that Werdum would look like the fresher fighter as the fight wore on, I would have said absolutely not. But in this case, it was. Werdum looked absolutely fresh. He was on his feet, bouncing around. He was landing things. Velasquez was pressing forward, but Velasquez was taking a lot of shots. And he took some shots to the chin very, very well. But he was being damaged. Werdum was landing a lot, and he was countering a lot, and he was getting some things in there. And I think that really surprised people. But then when you think about it like this, number one, Rafael Cordero, his coach, has a knack for taking guys who are wrestlers, grapplers, and really transforming their stand-up and making them very comfortable there. We've seen him do that with Jake Ellenberger. We have now seen him do that with Fabricio Werdum. And Werdum was able to do that against Cain Velasquez. And then Velasquez, it looked like, couldn't get the better of him standing up. So he shoots for a takedown. And I saw Werdum kind of angle his body ready to do something. And he angles his body and he just gets him with a guillotine and taps him out in the third round in a very impressive performance. And when you look at it, you have to think about it like this. Fabricio Werdum if he keeps winning, is going to go down as probably the greatest heavyweight, or he's had a legendary career, because you look at the people he's beaten. He beat Fedor. He was the man that ended the Fedor unbeaten streak of 32, 33 plus fights unbeaten. He was the man that stopped that and shocked the entire world. He beat Alistair Overeem back in the day. He beat Gonzaga. He submitted Nogueira, and now he's gone and beaten Cain Velasquez, a guy that many people feel would go down as the greatest heavyweight of all time. And there's still, the jury's still out there, because while Velasquez did lose, I will say this, I reckon there's going to be a second fight with those two. I predict there will be a rematch at some point with those two, but this really opens up the heavyweight division. I bet Junior Dos Santos is happy about that. I bet Junior Dos Santos is elated at doing that. A, because he beat Werdum back in the day, and two, if Velasquez keeps holding the belt, the longer he holds the belt, the further away that Junior is from getting another title fight. So for Velasquez to lose gives an opportunity for Junior Dos Santos, and I swear Junior was angling for a rematch with Werdum. He was angling. Also Stipe Miocic too. But it looks like we're going to have Miocic and Arlovski fight, and that leaves Werdum open. So maybe Werdum and Dos Santos will happen, or maybe they will do the winner of Miocic and Arlovski fighting. And Arlovski's fought Werdum before too. So again, it opens up the division very, very well right now. Again, I just say congratulations to Werdum. What a fight. Another criticism I want to have on that, and something that was touched upon in the commentary, was that people said that Velasquez had not trained in the high altitude of Mexico for long enough, or adequately enough. And that was another factor. And I think it was probably because he did slow down as the fight progressed, and he did look a little bit off. I think he took a lot of damage, and that had an effect on him. But I do see the argument that the high altitude worked in Werdum's favour and worked against Velasquez. I can see that, because he was starting to look a little bit slow. He was pressing forward, he was still going, had a lot of heart, but you could definitely see the difference between someone that's been there for 2 weeks and someone that had been living there for quite a few months. And that definitely helped Werdum's cause. Another thing I also want to point out is, I do think, and I do question the fact that Velasquez has not fought since 2013, because of the way that those guys train. I think that plays a role in it too, because I've seen footage of the American Kickboxing Academy, and let's be real, those guys beat the ever-living piss out of each other, and they're always getting injured left and right. And I think that needs to be addressed, because you're going to put miles and years on your body, and your body is going to age before it really should if you keep doing that. But that's just me. Alright, outside of that, what else happened? Kelvin Gastelum beats Nate Marquardt. Not surprised there. I do think that Kelvin would be better at 170, but given the fact that he failed to make weight, I don't blame Dana White for keeping him as a middleweight. But he had a great performance, put on a great show against Nate Marquardt. I feel that Marquardt is on his way down. I don't think he's really been the same fighter since he fought Tyrone Woodley, and that's a fight that he won. But to be real and to be honest with you, outside of that, he has not looked particularly great in any fights that he's been in. Other than that, he got knocked out by Lombard, I believe. I think if he fought Woodley in a rematch, he would lose. Other than the James Tahuna submission, I think Marquardt is on his way out, personally. We have Eddie Alvarez and Gilbert Melendez. Holy shit, that was a good fight. For me anyways. I think that Eddie Alvarez needed that win. He needed that win. I feel like his back was against the wall when he was signed to the UFC. Obviously, there was a lot of press amongst the MMA community about Eddie Alvarez and him joining the UFC, and then the whole Bellator lawsuit and everything. So when he's brought into this big contract on the UFC show against Donald Cerrone, immediately fans who were not aware of him, their backs were like, who's this? Who is this? All this hype, and he loses to Donald Cerrone, the great Donald Cerrone. You know, so he needed to win, and he fights Gilbert Melendez, a guy that I have respected and highly touted for a very long time. Melendez looked a lot better in this fight than he did against Pettis, and I will say that. He looked a lot better in this fight. I still think that Gil has got some fights left in him. He was winning the fight, and he actually did a lot of damage to Eddie's eyes, but Eddie, again showed a lot of heart, pressed on, pressed forward, and turned the fight in his favour. Split decision win, but a win is a win, as Vin Diesel says in Fast and Furious. To paraphrase him, it doesn't matter if it's a knockout, it doesn't matter if it's a submission, it doesn't matter if it's a decision, winning is winning. Of course, when he says that, he sounds much tougher and much cooler than I do. Anyways, I am going to stop. You let me know what you think. You let me know how you felt. Did you have Werdum winning this fight? Did you pick Werdum winning this fight? Were you one of those non-believers that felt that Werdum was this overrated, lowly fighter that wasn't going to do anything after he beat Fedor? How do you feel about that now? I am done. I am finished. I need breakfast. I need to go work out. I need to go do some stuff. I am out of here. Hit that subscribe button down below. Peace, take care, and let me know how you feel.